Jot Writing Prompt Author by You, You're Cool 91. When the gender troubles started, I'll fully admit that I didn't notice. Granted, I identified as non-binary before. The change in mentality, from non-binary in a more agender-ish way to full-on gender fluid, was pretty easy to wrap my head around. Oh, I feel like I want to present full femme? Just go for it. Today's a more mask day? Whatever. I didn't even mess around with my pronouns until, like, a solid 6 months in, and even then, I tend to just default to they/them, even now. That being said, most people didn't think it was a thing at first, not really. It only got called the gender troubles in retrospect, when the medical community decided that the shift in statistics was dramatic enough to warrant further research. Gender identity is such a private thing, after all. Some people decided to transition quite quickly. Some people struggled for years. Some people still deny that the change took place at all. The statistics have ticked so high over the past 25 years, from 1 to 5 to 10 to 30 to 75% transgender or non-binary, that even the most stubborn of your garden variety transphobes have had to admit that there's something to it. There's been a huge number of issues, of course. The murder rate has thankfully gone down since the heights of the late 2030s, but you still hear of it, mostly in the few congregations where religion hasn't caught up to reality. There's a huge amount of bitterness from a generation or so's worth of kids whose transitions were hampered by the outdated laws against trans kids and puberty blockers. The worst fear-mongering nowadays is about the birth rate. The direction of sexuality didn't change, so on paper, the vast majority of people are now both gay and on hormones that make pregnancy less likely. They say that IVF for those people, mostly men now, who want and are able to get pregnant may soon be free or near free to bolster the birth rate. Still, things have gotten better. The law caught up, mostly, by 2040. People's minds caught up mostly, even more quickly than that. When the scientists first determined that something had to have happened, that the gender troubles well and truly existed, people thought it was the end of the world. Outside of that slice of things, it may well be. Climate change, war, racism, and poverty didn't change with the genders. But if one thing changed, maybe everything else can. Maybe the gender troubles weren't the end of the world, but a beginning.